You're back. Do I even have to answer any more questions? All right, who's going to lead us off? I was looking forward to Peter coming to training camp this year.
Jason, how do you analyze the wide receiver position and the growth of Trey
Trey did some outstanding things for us. He's obviously very fast. He's learned multiple positions for us. It's always tough on a rookie, but he put a lot of effort into it and made some big plays for us. And so he's somebody that can take it off the top for us. We need speed. We need more speed like that. And he did a nice job. We're Rock Jarrett too. So we're looking forward to him coming back this year too in his second year off the injury at the end of the year. Needs to take a big step. He missed all of the offseason OTAs, because of the heart deal that he was dealing with. So that's always hard when you miss all that stuff. So he was a little bit behind the eight ball. So he'll be ahead of it this year, hopefully, and because he's got a lot of talent. So a lot of speed, size, all the things you look for in a running back. So we'll see where we're at. We're hopeful. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Well, how recent was that?
Like in the last few days.
Okay, there was another one that said we were getting closer. So, yeah, we're working very hard on that on both sides, both ends are, and trust me, we all want Mike.
I know the competition for me this week is having that kickoff conversation, and I don't know where that's going to go, but just reflect on how that went this year. Do you have any thoughts? Love it, hate it, and what do you think the next iteration might be?
I don't know to be honest with you, I don't have a lot of intel on what they're planning on doing or proposing. I'm just looking for good players here. Well, I think he's pretty close to being an elite receiving back, and he's made a lot of improvements in running the ball too towards the end of the year. You got to keep in mind he's still young, it's second year. He's doing a lot of great things. He's one of our better players, and we're excited about him.
Jason, the amount of workload that Rashad White had, that concern you all? A lot of touches he had.
Yeah, would like to have more depth there, although or the use of more depth there, I should say, because I think Chase did some really good things for us too, and we'd like to have Chase back too. But we'd like to have a complimentary back there, whether it's Chase or somebody else, but that could take a little bit of that load.
Jason, was Elijah on the development track you envisioned for him when you selected him in the first round last year, and how did he help transform your defense?
Well, he did a lot. He's super explosive. He's very smart. I think he's ahead of the curve for a rookie. He's going to be even further ahead next year. He's a super competitive guy. Usually your draft class, your whole class kind of takes after the first pick. And Kalijah's the perfect example of what you want the rest of the class to fall in line on, because he's always in the building. He's always trying to improve. He's always asking questions. He and Yaya were, the two best buddies running around all the time, and it's fun to see, and how those two are going to grow together and I think they can both be dominant players.
Jason, how vocal has Steve Cohen been in this draft process when you guys look at offensive players and how they best fit your team and his offense?
He's just hit the ground, feet running. He's figuring out how to find the locker room right now. So we haven't gotten into any draft meetings with our new coaches yet. He did. He made some big plays for us. Been a very steady player. He's not sometimes he doesn't appear to be like the flashiest player, but he's very consistent, and he's capable of being an every down player. But he too needs a compliment too. So we're excited about Payne. We'll see what Payne comes along.
When you look at the teams that went the distance, and then you go back to self-scout, what do you think were some of the differences, or what
Well, it's a lot closer than we thought, and that was good to see. That was, it's a sign of a great organization: scouts, coaches, players. So I think when you look back to 2020, we had a lot of depth and some veteran depth, some young depth, but we had a lot of depth, and I think depth might be the key. So
Jason, how big of a need do you see the interior offensive line being with Aaron Stinney and Matt Filer as free agents? Would that be a position that you look to address?
absolutely, always looking to build the trenches, always looking for depth, always looking for upgrades. I think that's something that we'll definitely be looking not just in the draft, but free agency and through camp and whatever avenues we have, we'll always be looking there.
Ian said that he wants to do a scouting back inside. What was the thought process of not having him there to start the year? And how much better? Why is it better suited?
Well, as you know, Chris is a very physical player. He's not afraid to work the middle. He's not intimidated, and that's a skill in itself. He's got fantastic hands. Very instinctive player. It's just he can play both spots, but he just seems to excel inside. And you saw that at the end of the year, towards the end of the year, started to make more plays for us. So that's it's hard to find those guys, and Chris is a good one.
Athletes versus advising its clients to its prospects and not through cognitive testing. I'm wondering what you think of that, and if it becomes a trend for other agencies, is that going to impact your evaluation of prospects to have those cognitive tests?
Well, that's their prerogative to not. We'd like to get as much data as we can, but it's not like they're doing it for one team and not the other. So now it's just comes back to which teams can evaluate the best, and I'll put my team against anybody. So that's where we're stand with that.
Chris has been here a long time. What would you say about what he's doing?
Who? He's phenomenal person, phenomenal player, a great example to all of his entire team. You almost take him for granted. He's there every day working his ass off, and came back from a brutal injury and came back faster than everybody expected. He's just Mr. Consistency.
Jason, what's talked about in the past? Everything's kind of on the table to improve the run game. Two of the best running games in the NFL right now. Hughes will go back, which had previously kind of gone away. Can you talk about that place is in the modern NFL and specifically in the roster?
Well, it depends on the scheme that you're going to run. It depends on how you're going to utilize it. These are all conversations that we're going to be having. More conversation. We've already talked a little bit about it. You can use a traditional fullback, or you can find a tight end that has more of a fullback type of skill set and still call him a tight end, but do some of those things. So there's different ways of doing it.
Jason, when you look at the safety position opposite Antoine Winfield Jr., what are your options there should you not decide to re-sign Ryan Neal? Is Christian Isian, is he a possibility there, or Kevon Merriweather?
He is both of those. With that, Merriweather has a chance to be a good player. Obviously, Isian played well for us last year at nickel, but he's got the safety type twitch and trigger to go tackle. And much like Antoine, you're giving up a little bit of size, but you've got a lot of toughness there. So there's a lot of upside with both of those players at that position. But there's obviously some players in the draft every year that we look at. There's free agency. That's a position we want to make sure that we have some depth.
What are some of the things you learned about Baker Mayfield, Jason, as the season went on that you really weren't aware of when you brought him in?
Well, it did take long for me to realize just what a great dude he was and what a great teammate he was. And as the season went on, more and more, it's how important it was for him to set an example of what we are trying to be as a team, and that's a tough team that endures adversity, but also is physical, tone setter out on the field. And then typically, it's not a good recipe to have your quarterback trying to run over linebackers and be the tone setter, but he's willing to do whatever it takes to win. So, and it's a selfless nature of his.
Everybody on the team notices that.
Oh yeah, yep.
See a lot more of QB Baker, especially towards mid-season down the stretch and postseason. What can you say about the job that
Yeah, phenomenal. He's a great kid too. He's just a great teammate, and he's always been the same every day too. He's waited for his opportunity, and he took advantage of it. Thrived.
How did you feel like the scouting report
Well, it was, the injuries are always frustrating there. I mean, it's not their fault. So, but injuries are always seem to be an issue there at that position. So, in an otherwise very solid year in terms of injuries, I thought Bobby and his staff did a great job this year. So, but that was just the frustrating part because they're both very talented.
So when you look at the fact you've had a lot of success moving offensive tackles inside, one of those guys didn't work out for you was Luke Gedeke. He ended up working out at right tackle. We talked about what it meant to have him as your second round pick. Really have a bounce back here to show he can play right tackle.
Well, yeah, he's another guy that just wills himself to be successful, and you know him. You guys all know him that cover us. What he's like, if you could take a rock and chip an offensive lineman, that's him. He's, now got a little bit, it's unfair. We moved him to the left side, and he was naturally a right-sided player coming out of college, right tackle, moved him to the left guard, and then, I still think could be a very good guard, but now don't take that as we're moving him to guard. But I wouldn't say that he was a bust at guard. He was still learning his way, but he's done a great job.
Jason, a local kid, Michael Penix, very Washington, I know you're ex-head coach license. But when you have a guy that's had injuries, do you rely on the film more? I mean, medical's part of it, but how much does it prove in that play?
Well, it's mostly the film. I mean, we'll get the medical and we'll get the assessment from our medical experts, but mostly the film. So he's had a hell of a 2-year career here. So.
Is this as good a draft class as it's being pictured and valued, this draft class?
Yeah, well, at certain positions, yeah.
No, quarterback.
Oh, a quarterback? Yeah. I think so. I think the top, at the top there, I think it's really good.
Jason, so Liam Cohen has obviously worked with Baker Mayfield in the past. What has those conversations been like, when you guys are looking to build this offense?
Like, we haven't had a whole lot of time to go through the roster building conversations yet. I mean, that'll happen as soon as we leave here, and he's not going to be in Indy because he's still working with his new staff and installing and all those things. I mean, he wants good players, so it's not going to be that hard. So, players over plays. That's what we like to hear in the interview.
Obviously, this is a little bit subject to change because players could be signed before free agency starts. But looking at the expected upcoming free agent class, is there any positions that you feel are a bit deeper?
In the overall free agency class, there always are. But like I said before, like, we're focused on signing ours right now. And I mean, if we can re-sign Mike and Baker and Levante and Chase and Antoine and Tristan, I mean, we should be throwing another boat parade. So that's a pretty good class there.
It's always been kind of trying to keep the band together, but also kind of sprinkle in the rookies and the new guys. How hard of a process is that for you, knowing that you have guys like Levante who mean so much to the band?
Well, you always want good young players for depth, for the future. So it's not. I mean, it's not that easy finding them, but I mean, it's not that hard to want to add them to the roster. So you want to. We've got a great blend right now. Just in a few years, we've changed it to the oldest roster in the league to now we've got a very young roster with some good, very high-end veterans. So want to keep that going.
Okay, we got to cut it off. Thank you.
Thanks.